So, as we are covering training and development in this third unit, today I will discuss about the uh, training process. We'll talk about that what exactly training means and what is training process, and we'll try to elaborate this process into detailed activities. So, if we look at that training concept, as we have already discussed about training, that training is basically a short term process which utilizes a systematic and organized procedure. When we talk about organized procedure, means you have activities and system planned, and this organized means you have some planning, you have some objectives, and accordingly you develop some plans, and usually by which non-managerial personnel acquire technical knowledge and skills. As we have discussed, that wherever there is a knowledge gap or there is a skill gap, so training try to bridge that gap and try to fulfill that skill required or skill needed. And this whole process is basically for a defined or definite purpose. The concept is very clear that the process for non-managerial personnel, and the objective is to update the technical knowledge and equip or sharpen the skills of the person or employee. So if you look at the training process, how training starts. So wherever there is a need for training, so you have to analyze the training need, that what is the training need, what is the gap, skill gap, what is the knowledge gap, and if there is any gap, then you need any kind of training. And after this training need analysis, we will discuss each step in detail in a coming part of this lecture. The second step in your training process includes defining training objectives. Say, for example, you have a skill gap. Now, for example, we talk about that you have a communication skill gap. You need to be professionally, perfect in communication, but you are not. So what type of training you need? So training need analysis is very clear that you need to have a communication, especially in English language. You need training in this area. Now, once you know that what is the training need, then you must understand, you must define, you must decide, or you must identify that what is the training objective. For example, you need communication, perfect communication in English for your career purpose. Sometimes you need this English communication for your visa purpose. Say, for example, sometimes it happens that if you are moving out of the country, and if you are moving, say, for example, in France or Germany, so they want that what is the level of understanding about the communication skill in German or French, or in some country it is English. So what is your objective? Your objective is to get through with the placement activity, interview process, or you want to grow in career, or your company require it, or you want to impress someone. So you have to define objective. So a skill gap itself is not defining objective. You need to look at that what is training objective. Once you make it clear, training objectives, then the next step is developing training policy and plan. Now you may put question that the company must be having training policy into place. But yes, you're right. But exactly with reference to the training need requirement, you need to look at that if you need to modify the training policy, if you need to look at the training plans which are existing right now, or they need some further development of the plan, because there is a routine plan of company and there is a specific plan for a specific purpose. So in that case you have to look at the organizational training policies or sometime plans. Once you come to know about that, yes, there is a training policy, you have developed training policy, and you know that training policy, why you need policy. You need policy to understand that a uniform system is implemented. You must understand your policy, clarify who will be trained and who will be giving training, what timing, what is the cost, everything you make standard system. And once this policy is clear, then make specific training program, design training program. We will discuss what exactly training program is in coming lectures. Then implementing training program, and then finally evaluating training programs. Now, going back to the first, training need analysis. When we talk about that training need analysis, that means identifying what is the need of training. So it may be that you have a individual level analysis. Individual level means maybe that as a V.K. Yadav, I say that yes, I need to be given training in German language. But as an employee, this may not be a need. That may be my individual need. Maybe that when I play a role of manager, or when I play a role of a supervisor, or say for example foreman or senior technician, then in that case I need to be a bit conversant in particular language, or conversant in particular situation. So as an individual, I may feel that yes, there is a need for training, but as an employee, need analysis may vary. So when employee level analysis means all the technicians are required to be trained on this new machine. So this is employee level analysis, or maybe departmental level analysis. These departments, or within a department, you ask to each department to look into that skill gap, and then submit a report, and then comprisely you get organizational level need analysis. So you need to look at that what type of variety of trainings, domains of training you need to organize, and accordingly further programs or plans can be chalked out. Now second step which we talk about was that defining training objectives. Once you know that there is a requirement of this training, you come to know about the skill gap, you come to know about the technical knowledge gap, then you define the training objective. So if you look at that different category of objectives, you look at it, it may be proactive objectives, it may be reactive objectives, it may be regular objectives. Proactive objectives means objectives which anticipate problems before it occurs and give training. Usually what happens that if you look at that training of employees in working under in hazardous situations, say for example the technicians or the employees or the laborers who work in mines, So they are given training before they go to the actual situation. So anticipating problems and then try to equip every employee. So that is proactive objectives. Team building process is again a proactive objective. So you need to define whether your objective is proactive or objective is reactive. When reactive objective means, if something happened, the productivity is going down, or the complaints are increasing, or the employee grievances are increasing, you know that when there is increase in complaint and grievances, so you need to understand that something somewhere, something is wrong. So you have to react. You have to look at, if in production department, if wastage is increasing, so problem, wastage, increase wastage. Now how to solve it? So whatever action, whatever program you form, that program is having objective, and that objective is a reactive objective. And then regular objectives may be that a regular orientation program, induction program, refresher courses, and that is routine training programs which are planned at corporate level and executed on time scale basis. So you need to define training objectives, what category, what type, and what is. Developing training policy and plan. Now altogether, that the company must be having some policy on in place, but keeping in view the training objectives, whether proactive or reactive or regular, you need to look at the how much time, at what time, frequency of training. You must define uniformity, standardization of, say for example, sometimes says that employee training on a particular machine should not be more than 15 days for 1 week. So maximum 1 week training on particular machine. So you fix the define, and you say that after 6 months, every employee must be given 1 week training at least. So you decide about the time and frequency, which become policy or training policy. You decide that who will be trainer and who will be trainee. Say for example, sometime in some companies, it is already decided that above the level of grade 4, the people will be trainers, and the below they will be trainee. Or maybe may not be in terms of the grade, maybe in terms of the skills, or maybe in terms of the knowledge. Developing uniform system of equal opportunity to all employees. It is not that someone is close to the manager or someone is close to GM or DGM, so that person is nominated for training, and someone is simply doing job. So training policy means the equal treatment to every employee. So giving equal treatment, or rather you can say that nullifying all the pressures, favors, and source and all those things. Very good training policy must includes measurable objectives. Measurable objectives means, once you define objective, then you, along with that objective defining, you must define that how to measure these objectives. That means evaluation mechanism. Your evaluation or measurable objectives must be a reflection of a good training policy. Identifying checklist. That means checklist is basically a kind of what I believe is that checklist is very important for any policy. It is like that after every part of the process. It indicates that to what extent you have achieved your objective and in which direction you are moving. So you can say checkpoints. So you need to define checkpoints and checklist, and that would be inbuilt into your training policy. Designing training programs. Now, once you have come through with the training policy and everything is laid down as a policy parameter on policy parameters, then you need to exactly sit on the table and design the training programs, that who will be responsible for training, the ultimate responsibility, selection and motivation of the trainees, because it is very important. Trainees must be mentally prepared. We will discuss this point also in next coming points. Preparation of trainer, training material. So designing training material is equally important. It is not that I simply give you lecture and that is okay. You ask for study material, or you ask for PPT, you ask for other material. So along with training, you must give training material, because training material is basically very essential for employees, because it may not be possible to elaborate each bit of your training into that training period. So material basically provides some additional knowledge, some additional points which helps after training. You must decide about the training period, as we discussed in policy. In policy, training period means that ideally it should be of 1 week or 15 days. But here, when you are designing training programs, you have to design that yes, 1 week should be in second week of August. So that training period. Then you need to look at that performance linkage. You need to link performance with the training. That means maybe evaluation system. And then obviously checkpoints, as we discuss in checklist. In training policy, the checklist must be included for different type of categories, maybe the different type of checklist. But when you program some training, then you need to highlight those points which are very crucial to that training. So highlighting checkpoints again is very crucial, very important for any training program to be successful. And obviously, you look at that once your training program is finalized, your trainees are mentally ready, your trainees are physically ready for training. When you are implementing training program, so actually on the place you are trying to facilitate the whole training. Facilitating training coordinator means whosoever is coordinating that whole training session. So your job is to facilitate. Look at that, trainees are mentally fit, mentally prepared for that, mentally prepared to receive training, physically prepared. When you implement it, you need to monitor the progress and looking for additional input if any required by the training coordinator, trainees or trainer. And after implementing this training program, that means organized training program, conduct 1 week training session, and after that training session, what is important? Evaluation of that training program usually. And this evaluation outcome may be in form of reaction. After training program, the trainees may have different reaction to the situation on the job, which earlier they were not. If there is some learning after the training program. So that learning must reflect into your job behavior. So if your job behavior is changing, if you are if your overall department or organization is feeling that yes, there is a change in employees job behavior or employees social behavior, then it means that the training is successful. And in direct method, if productivity increases, wastage reduces, complaints reduces, grievances reduces, then you can understand that yes, your training program has been successful in changing the behavior of person, behavior of employee towards towards people, towards organization. And evaluation of training program includes if organization is benefited in any form, and if organization is benefited in any form, that simply indicates that yes, the organization of training program for a definite purpose, that purpose is fulfilled, that purpose is achieved. So you need to look at that whether this training has achieved its objective or not, and your checkpoints during the training process and your checklist, overall checklist, that will help you in understanding that yes, there is a change in behavior, there is a change in productivity, there is a change in role of people, there is a change in final tally or the output or the figures. So purpose is fulfilled once it is reflected maybe in quantifiable output or maybe qualitative output. So either outcome may be quantifiable or qualitative, maybe in any form, but it must be visible. So this was a complete process of your training process. So we will discuss training types in next class. So this is all about the training process.